Hey, how's everyone doing today? I guess I was doing some thinking today, and if you're new to this channel, this is about, closet addiction. Basically, you're addicted to something and you're alone because you don't want to tell anybody. And that sucks because I was like that at one point at the beginning. If you've seen I'm not going to go over stuff I had talked about before, but if you're there, I've been there. You know what I mean? Um, Today, what I want to talk about though is reality in the past. Now, I know one of the main things that got me when I first started to not drink was, and what made me drink more often than not after I tried to quit, was thinking about the past. Now, now that I think about it, kind of crazy in itself because you really can't go back to the past and undo anything. You really just can't. And there was one in particular thing that happened to me, and I'm gonna share it with you because in the end, if you this is how you know you're over when you can share things that you've done. If you're still ashamed of it, of some of the things you've done in the past and addiction, then I mean you're never totally out the woods. But if you can start sharing about it and not feel bad or feel ashamed, then you're making some real progress. Um, this is the story I wanted to share. I was in Florida, and I was younger at the time, and I could always write. Like it was this, I was this highly gifted in the writing area, always have been. And I was on the bus. I used to take. I think I was in Tallahassee. I was in Tallahassee, and I used to take this bus. I worked at this gas station that sold beer, and then I lived across town. And that's a whole nother story. But trust me, we never paid for any beer. Um, So I'm riding the bus back from work, and you ride the bus, and I was actually sitting next to someone who was the dean of the English school at this particular college. And I think at the time I was maybe 20. No, I had to be because I was drinking age because I could buy it. So I was like 22 probably. And I got to talking to this guy, and over time, after a month or two, he was like, well, because I think I did a couple of poems for him or something. He was like, well, this is my address. This is where my office is. I want you to come down tomorrow morning and so we can talk. I think I can get you in school. I told the man I didn't have any money, and basically he was going to take care of all that. Now I understand what that means now, but at that time, of course, I didn't know what was going on. I was too busy getting drunk off of 99 bananas. Well, anyway, so that morning I get up, I get dressed to go, and on the way there, I'm at because he had to go to one bus stop in order to get to the school. I had to make a stop, and I made a stop, and it was right in front of a store. And in Florida, the regular stores sell beer. There were some guys out there drinking already. It was like 8:45, 9 in the morning. Of course, brilliant me started drinking with these dudes. I think I missed one bus, got on the following bus. Well, I get there, I go in the guy's office, and I'm drunk. And he wasn't mean. He just excused himself and left. And I think I sat in that chair for like an hour, hour and a half, or until I sobered up, till I realized what was going on. And then he never rode the bus again. So as I got older, I used to think about that all the time. Like the what ifs? What if this? What if that? And it came to the point where I just had to like let's let it go. I because I came to grips I think with what alcoholism had done to me. I understood that it had taken some things from me, and there was an effect. It wasn't one of those things where I'm drinking, I'm only hurting myself. And that's the same thing if you're watching this and you've watched a couple of videos and you're still thinking I don't know, let me tell you, you are, because you just don't, you know what I mean, look at stuff like this and you're not contemplating some ifs. um But it was just like a sour point. It was a low point for a long time. And I mean, well, you figure I was maybe 22 when that happened, and I really didn't feel comfortable enough to even talk about it until I was like 24. I mean, 34, 35. That's like 13, 14 years later. You know what I mean? I held that one. I wasn't going to let nobody know that. But I did. So this is to let people know, even those most embarrassing moments, things that you wish you can go back and do, you just got to come to realization you've been dealing with something more powerful than you. If you go to any AA or AA meeting, there's this term they always say: cunning, baffling, powerful. Why else do you think these people out here got millions of dollars? And when I say millions, these dudes is buying 25 and $26 million houses, but they dying from a needle or something they putting on their nose. They dying from an inanimate objects that they're self-imposing on themselves, and they have everything you could possibly dream of. If that don't tell you something, nothing will. So you dealing with something cunning, baffling, powerful. You did stuff. As you get older, even when you're sober, you still gonna do stuff. But it will never ever get to the point of how it was when you were using, in those embarrassing moments. And that's all they were. Embarrassing moments that you gotta let go. Now, there are some things you gotta go back in the past and correct, no doubt. But one day at a time. You know what I mean? A lot of people get sober and they want to build Rome in a day. Rome, I was like that. Rome will not be built in a day, especially when it comes to your loved ones, because if they've never dealt with it, they have no clue. You just got to keep it real with yourself. They have no idea how it feels to watch your whole life disintegrate in front of your eyes, because essentially that's what happens. And you're sitting back like an innocent bystander and you can't do nothing about it. They will never understand that. I don't care how many books they read, how many movies they see. That inside thing that happens with that, they'll never understand. So you can't put the expectation on them to understand. And it took me a long time to basically understand that. It took me a long, long, long time. But the reality is, you weren't you, so you can't beat yourself up about it. Because in reality, you weren't you. That's the truth. Right now, if you're looking at this and you got a needle in your arm or a bottle in your mouth, you are not you, especially if your life is disintegrating in front of you. Or you ain't had an OD in the last, if you had one OD in the last year, if you've had two ODs this year, and we're in March, you got an issue. Because ODing ain't normal. Normal people don't OD, like me. Normal people don't go to 15 detoxes or whatever it was. That ain't normal. After the fifth one, I would think like, wait a minute. But I was a functional too, so that's a whole nother illusion. Especially if you're functional and you can go to work and you can do this and you can do that. Then that's a whole nother video. But to stay with what we're talking about, the past is the past. I just shared one of my worst nightmare events in my life in front of y'all. And I don't, you know what I mean? And I don't care. Because you know what? That made me the man I am today. It really did. All right, that's it for tonight. Y'all have a good one.